Welcome back, the instant recap here. Today I am going to explain the epic historical thriller film called The Northman. Watch out for spoilers, and take care. In the year 895 AD, King Orvindil and his brother Fjolnir returned to the Hrafnsey Island after the successful overseas expeditions. He reunites with his wife, Queen Gudrún, and his heir, Prince Amleth. In order to ready the prince for his future role as king, King Orvindil takes Prince Amleth with him to a temple to take part in a spiritual ritual led by the court jester Fjolnir. Prince Amleth is given a drink by Fjolnir which makes him see his whole family tree. The next day when they're having a stroll outside, King Orvindil is shot by multiple arrows. Seeing that, Prince Amleth runs and hides behind a rock. He witnesses a man approaching his father. When he takes off his mask, it turns out it was Fjolnir. He then kills him with his sword while being watched by the heartbroken Amleth. Afterwards, Fjolnir sends his soldier named Fjolnir to assassinate Prince Amleth, but he cuts off his nose and escapes. But that doesn't stop Fjolnir's greed. He then raids the hill fort and abducts Queen Gudrún. Prince Amleth finds a boat and flees on it while promising to himself to avenge his father's death one day. Many years have passed, and Prince Amleth now lives as a berserker with a group of Vikings and help them win wars. After a raid in Gardariki, he encounters a seeress in the temple of Svetovid. The seeress predicts that Amleth will soon avenge Fjolnir and his fate is tied to a maiden king. He discovers that Fjolnir has been dethroned by Harald of Norway and is now in exile in Iceland, disguising himself as a slave. Amleth sneaks onto a ship. He meets a woman named Olga who claims to possess magical powers. Knowing Amleth is a Northman, she still treats him kindly and takes care of him when Amleth is haunted by his nightmares from the past. The two are taken to Fjolnir's farm, where he lives with his sons, adult Thorir and his second son named Gunnar. A MILF introduces himself to Fjolnir using a fake name. Next day he manages to enter Fjolnir's home and discovers his mother Gudrún with Fjolnir. He learns that she was the one who gave birth to Gunnar. One night, Amleth follows a vixen and encounters a male witch, who facilitates a spiritual connection between Amleth and the deceased Fjolnir, who was murdered by Fjolnir. The witch informs Amleth of the existence of Draugr, a powerful magical sword located at the gates of hell owned by the Mound Dweller. Next, Amleth ventures into a mound and finds the Dweller sitting with his sword. As Amleth tries to take the sword, the Dweller awakens and starts attacking him. When the Dweller tries to avoid the moonlight, Amleth remembers the words of the male witch and pushes the Dweller into it. The Dweller is unable to move. Amleth sees it as an opportunity to kill him with his axe, but somehow he finds himself in front of the Dweller again, but this time he obtains the sword with no issues. On his way back to the farm, he is seen by Fjolnir's dog who starts barking. Amleth growls at him to make him quiet. He sees Fjolnir and thinks it's the best time to attack, but the sun is rising, so he hides his sword until the right time arrives. The following day, Amleth is chosen to participate in a game of Natliker against another farm. One by one each player starts to die, but the game takes a violent turn when Gunnar steps inside the playground. He is knocked by the opposite team's player, but Amleth saves him before the player has any chance to kill him. As a reward, Thorir, Fjolnir's grown son, assigns him the role of overseer and allows him to select a woman of his choice. He selects Olga without a second thought. During the evening festivities, Amleth and Olga engage in intimate relations and vow to defeat Fjolnir together. They poison several of Fjolnir's men by adding fly agaric, a powerful psychedelic substance, to their food. The ensuing confusion allows Amleth to enter Fjolnir's dwelling. He reunites with his mother, who reveals that she was abducted and taken as a slave by the king. She also confesses that she never loved Orvindil. She once hoped for the deaths of both Orvindil and Amleth. She was the one behind the death of Orvindil with the help of Fjolnir. Despite her attempts to seduce Amleth, he remains furious and leaves to find Thorir and kills him, taking his heart as a trophy. Gudrún betrays Amleth's identity to Fjolnir and urges him to carry out the killing. When Fjolnir is about to kill Olga, Amleth shows up wearing his prince necklace and proposes a trade, Thorir's heart in exchange for Olga's safety. Fjolnir sends his men to capture him, but he fights back. Meanwhile, Olga manages to escape. He is finally caught and Fjolnir takes his son's heart back, but Amleth reveals it's his dog's heart. After a brutal beating, Amleth still won't reveal the location of Fjolnir's son's heart. Fjolnir had to leave for his son's funeral but swears to come back to finish him. When everyone leaves, Amleth is freed from his bonds by a group of ravens. When the people come back from Thorir's funeral, he's already escaped. When Amleth awakens, he finds himself flying on a horse with a Valkyrie being taken to Valhalla. But then he realizes it was Olga who saved him, and the two flee by a boat. Amleth has a divine revelation and realizes that Olga is carrying twin offspring, one of whom will become the Maiden King as foretold by the seeress. Concerned for the safety of his children, Amleth decides to eliminate his uncle because he is a threat to his family as long as he is alive, so he jumps back into the sea. While he is on his way to the shores, Olga calls the wind spirit to ensure their safe journey. At the farm, Amleth liberates the slaves and slays a majority of Fjolnir's soldiers including Fjolnir. He enjoyed cutting what was left of his nose. During his search for Fjolnir, he is suddenly ambushed by his mother. He kills her by stabbing her right into the chest with his weapon. Gunnar then launches a sudden attack, stabbing Amleth multiple times before he gets killed as well. Fjolnir shows up. Upon finding his wife and son dead, Fjolnir challenges Amleth to a duel, to be held at the Hekla volcano, known as the Gates of Hell, and takes the bodies of his family with him. Bleeding Amleth watches the farm being burned by the enraged slaves. On his way to the volcano, he finds dead Gudrún and Gunnar. He stops to blesses them before leaving to face Fjolnir. When he finally meets him, they both engage in an intense battle since they both are fearsome warriors. The battle between the two resulted in Fjolnir being beheading and Amleth being mortally wounded since he already was in a bad condition, even before facing Fjolnir. As Amleth lies on his deathbed, he experiences a vivid premonition of Olga and their twin children before being greeted by a Valkyrie who leads him to Valhalla. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notifications and leave a like, which also helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.